Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. So I hope everybody's ready for some more acquisitions because it seems like some interesting and big things are happening behind the scenes. This does include Xbox, as it seems like they're not quite finished just yet, even after the Activision Blizzard acquisition, and then also the possibility that Ubisoft and all of their IP might end up being bought out. And yes, you did hear that right, Ubisoft might be the next big publisher up for acquisition, so we will talk about both of those later on in the video, plus plenty more. Per usual though, if you do find yourself enjoying the video, go ahead and hit that like button below, as it does help out the channel a ton. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit that bell notification and subscribe button as well. That way you can keep up to date with all of the latest gaming news. Other than that, though, let's just go and get right into the news, starting off with Hideo Kojima's next possible game. And there's been a lot of rumors surrounding Hideo Kojima throughout the last year. This includes the Blue Box Studios abandoned game that may or may not exist, and it also, of course, includes that Xbox rumor that has him working on a cloud-based Xbox project. Now, that one actually does have some credibility, but now there's some more speculation out there as he revealed his workspace at his new studio. And at first glance, it seems like a very Kojima-like picture. You can see the director chair here, which is very fitting of his persona. But one thing that eagle-eyed fans started to notice is that if you zoom into the picture over here on the right, there's a PlayStation 5 dev kit. Now, what fans are kind of speculating on now is that this could signify that Kojima Productions' next game is a PlayStation 5 title, or at the very least, a multi-platform game. And okay, that's possible. Yes, we have been hearing a lot about those Xbox Kojima rumors, but this doesn't rule out the idea that maybe he's working on a second game as well. I mean, we really don't know too much about that Xbox cloud-based project at all, really. But maybe they are working on a second game, and one could be available on the PlayStation 5. At the same time, though, for as much speculation as this picture has caused here, I don't necessarily know if it's proof that Kojima is working on a PlayStation 5 game currently. And the reason I say that is because, yes, the PlayStation 5 dev kit is here, but something that you need to keep in mind is that Kojima Productions just finished up with a PlayStation 5 game, being Death Stranding, a director's cut. So they've already released a PlayStation 5 game, so it's not really a surprise that Kojima would have a PlayStation 5 dev kit. So I don't necessarily look at this as concrete proof per se, but at the same time, I could see Kojima having yet another PlayStation 5 game in development rather than just that Xbox cloud-based project, if that does indeed end up being true. Moving on, it is starting to look like PlayStation will indeed release even more of their games on PC sometime in the near future. Now, I feel like by this point, this isn't overly surprising. We have seen PlayStation here in recent years be a little bit more open to the idea of bringing their games to PC. We've seen them release God of War, we've seen them release Horizon Zero Dawn, Death Stranding, and so on and so forth on PC. So this is not as big of a surprise as it was a couple of years ago, but yes, they are starting to invest more into the future of PC, and we saw that just last year when they acquired Nixxes, which is a studio that specializes in porting games over to PC. So I feel like this has been fairly obvious for a while, but that has become even more evident as of today. As you can take a look over here, reported by Video Game Chronicles, according to a job listing sent to VGC, the role, which is based in San Mateo, California, is looking for candidates that will be responsible for the strategy and commercial activity within global channel sales and will deliver a single optimized PC sales growth and commercial plan. The job listing is looking for candidates who can lead PC growth and commercial strategy, as well as develop and implement global PC store strategy and process. So once again, we are starting to see PlayStation form a strategy around PC. Now, up to this point, we've really only seen them release their PlayStation 4 games on PC, so it will be interesting to see if they ever decide to bring their PlayStation 5 games as well. Now, I don't think that they'll necessarily go the Xbox direction where they release their games day and date on PC, but at the same time, we could end up seeing some staggered releases in the future, and we've actually already kind of gotten some hints that they might already be considering that. If we take a look at that NVIDIA GeForce leak, which has been very accurate up to this point, there was several PlayStation 5 games on that list. I mean, if you take a look at that list, it includes Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Edition, which has already been confirmed. You have Helldivers 2, Horizon Forbidden West, Gran Turismo 7. There's a project here by the name of Darasine, God of War, Returnal, Demon Souls, Souls, Ratchet & Clank, Sackboy: A Big Adventure, as well as Ghost of Tsushima. So several PlayStation 5 games are on that list. Now, whether or not they ever get confirmed or not, we'll have to wait and see, but it is starting to become very clear that Sony is forming some type of strategy surrounding PC. Let's go ahead and start talking about acquisitions, though. This really has been a reoccurring topic over the last couple of years, as a lot of different studios have been gobbled up by big publishers out there, such as the Embracer Group. You have Tencent. They've been picking up studios left and right. Then you have some of these platform makers out there, such as Sony. They've acquired a lot of studios, and in fact, they've vowed to acquire even more. And then you also have Xbox. Xbox has constantly been on the forefront of this, acquiring various studios, including some major publishers as well, such as Bethesda. They're also in the intent of acquiring Activision Blizzard, but interestingly enough, it sounds like that they still are not finished just yet. Yes, according to a new job advertisement found, it does suggest that Xbox is not done with acquisitions, as Microsoft is seeking a manager to identify potential merger and acquisition targets. So with that in mind, despite Microsoft already attempting to make the biggest acquisition in gaming history with Activision Blizzard costing nearly $70 billion, it seems like, yeah, they're still going to search for more acquisitions after that. Now, I do think that that's kind of a key part to this story, though, because we still do have that Activision Blizzard acquisition just kind of looming. They're already trying to get that through regulations, and with how much scrutiny it's receiving right now, I don't think Microsoft will necessarily try to acquire another studio anytime soon. I think with all of that happening right now, they're just going to focus their time on Activision Blizzard, and then after all that's kind of settled, then they'll start to move on to their next target, or targets. Now, as to who they could possibly target in the future, I mean, we're talking about Microsoft here, and I mean, if you asked me last year if they would have ever tried to acquire Activision Blizzard, I would have said no way, but here we are. So with the amount of money that they have, and it seems like that they are all in on gaming right now, anything really feels like it's possible by this point. Now, at the same time, I think with the Activision Blizzard acquisition, especially if it goes through, I don't think that they would try to pick up another publisher. I think that they would more focus on independent studios. And I think one big possibility here could be Certain Affinity. They do seem to have a pretty strong relationship. It is rumored that they are working on some type of Monster Hunter-like exclusive for Xbox, and then they're also taking a bigger role for Halo Infinite. So with their relationship right now, I feel like that might be a possibility sometime in the future. But regardless, it very much does look like Xbox is not quite finished with acquisitions just yet. Now, about that, though, interestingly enough, as we were just talking about publisher acquisitions, news is starting to get out that Ubisoft might be next. Okay, so what's happening here is that it is being reported by Bloomberg that Ubisoft is starting to draw buyout interest from equity firms such as Blackstone and KKR and Company. You can actually take a look here where Kotaku reported on this subject, stating that Bloomberg reports that Blackstone and KKR and Company, the two biggest private equity firms in the world, have been studying the French business and have preliminary takeover interest in Ubisoft, but that the company hasn't yet entered any serious negotiations with potential acquirers. However, they do continue on here to say, according to Kotaku sources, Ubisoft has been working closely with several outside consultancy firms in recent years to audit various parts of its business. While companies will do this to become more profitable and prepare for the future, sources Kotaku spoke with suggest it's a sign Ubisoft's trying to tidy up its books for a potential sell. So this is starting to look like a very real thing, according to two different sources here, being Bloomberg and Kotaku. Ubisoft very well could end up being sold off, which is yet another major publisher, and they have a lot of well-established IP. They have Splinter Cell, they have Rayman, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and the list goes on and on. This could end up being massive, and right now we're just kind of hearing about these different equity firms, but if acquisition talks start to get serious, we could start to see some different companies get involved as well. I don't know how involved Microsoft will get here, just because they already have the Activision Blizzard acquisition going on, but there's plenty of other companies out there that might have some interest. You have Sony, which is already talking publicly about more acquisitions. You have Tencent. They've been very active in recent years. There's also Amazon. In my opinion, and this is just simply speculation, but Amazon might be one to watch out for here. Amazon is a big company that has a lot of money. They seem to have a pretty decent relationship with Ubisoft already. And if they're serious about jumping into gaming in a big way, right here would be their opportunity. Just simply acquire Ubisoft and they're in. So Amazon's definitely a company to keep an eye on here, but as I said at the beginning of the video, I hope you're all ready for some more acquisitions because as you can see here, there's still some big things happening behind the scenes. Next up, we get an update for Halo Infinite as they finally revealed the roadmap for Season 2, and not everybody's particularly happy with how this season is shaping up. Now, not because it doesn't have good content, because I think there's some interesting things here, but rather because of how long it's taking 343 Industries to update and give this game new content. We'll kind of get back to that here in just a moment, but first, let's go take a look here at what's actually included in Season 2. This does include 2 new maps, one for Big Team Battles, the other for Arena. It also includes new game modes such as King of the Hill, Land Grab, and Last Spartan Standing. That one right there has been drawing a lot of interest as it does have some similarities with Battle Royale, but beyond that, you do have a couple of new narrative events. There's a new 100-tier Battle Pass. There's a new Fracture event, Entrenched. You also have Campaign Network Co-op that's targeting late August, Campaign Mission Replay also targeting late August, then the Forge Open Beta is targeting September. So I do think that there's some interesting things here included in Season 2, especially with Cooperative Campaign as well as Forge Mode. Those are very highly anticipated by this point, but the part that people are disappointed about is how long this season is going to last. They do say that Season 2 will last from May 3rd all the way to November 7th. So this will be the second season in a row that lasts for 6 months long, and that's whenever things start to come into perspective. Yes, you're going to get online campaign. Yes, you're going to get Forge Mode, and those are very exciting, but in terms of new PvP content, the part of Halo that needs consistent content doesn't really seem to be getting that much new content. And that right there is where fans are a little frustrated. Because here you do have Halo Infinite, which is an excellent competitive multiplayer shooter. It won several Game of the Year awards last year. Fans seem to absolutely love it. It was the return of Halo in a big way. But the thing that this game needs most right now is just content. That's all it kind of boils down to. Everything else about the game is great. But right now, unfortunately, 343 just seems to be rolling these updates out a little slowly. Now, hopefully this will improve in the future. Once they get Forge and online co-op out of the way, maybe they can focus more of their resources on the competitive multiplayer. And then we also do have certain affinity. They seem to be taking a bigger role for Halo Infinite going forward, so with the combination of the two, maybe those upcoming seasons after Season 2 will come out a little bit more frequently. Let's go and take a look at the poll of the day, though, and as we talked about last week, it does look like Naughty Dog might bring back Uncharted sometime in the future. However, with Naughty Dog just having so many beloved franchises, I wanted to ask you all, what would you like to see Naughty Dog work on next? And interestingly enough, most of you all being 50% would actually prefer a new IP. Then in terms of the well-established IP, all three were very close in results, with Uncharted 5 getting 16% of the votes, Jak and Daxter 4 at 15%, and The Last of Us 3 with 14%. So you all definitely seem very split on those three, but again, most of you all actually want to see a new IP from Naughty Dog. This is what Naughty Dog does. They are well known for their creativity in building all of these amazing characters, worlds, and stories, and that's why so many people just love Naughty Dog. This dates all the way back to the original Crash Bandicoot trilogy, then that transitioned right into Jak and Daxter, then into Uncharted, and then last but not least, you have The Last of Us. Now, I know The Last of Us Part 2 is not as universally loved as some of their other games, but Naughty Dog has a very rich history of establishing completely new franchises and just running away with it. So they're a very unique studio in that sense. I mean, when you talk about some of the best studios in the entire industry, you often do hear a lot about Naughty Dog because they've just done it time and time again. So if they do a completely new IP, I'm sure a lot of people will be excited. If they announce a new Jak and Daxter, obviously people are going to be excited. Same thing with Uncharted or whatever. A lot of fans out there, they just simply want more Naughty Dog games. That's just the type of reputation that they have by this point. Now, I will say for myself, I would probably go with a new Uncharted or a new IP. I'd be happy with either, but I am just such a huge fan of Uncharted. It really is one of my top 3 favorite franchises of all time. So if they decide to continue on with that franchise, which I very much think that they could possibly do that, then I'd be thrilled about that. But one thing is for sure here, I will be very interested to see what Naughty Dog decides to do next. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.